But I was saying to Sally in today's meeting, I decided to do a bit of a formal Friday because yesterday I stayed in my tracksuit the entire day and I slept in it. Like that was I was like, I'm just not even getting dressed. So I went from hideous human to, okay, I'm going to wash my hair and straighten it and put on some makeup. Put on a skirt.
Ooh, Rosie, I love. Well, in the vein of being honest, I'm in yesterday's clothes, so there you go.
Perfect. Yeah. That would have been me too. I was like, I had a couple of meetings. I had to center and yan for. But oh my God, how busy are you?
Wild busy. It's crazy right now, but I am feeling so fulfilled. I feel this is kind of my sweet spot, I think, when I'm this close to launching something special, you know? But I'm also not working 100-hour week, so I feel good.
Yeah.
In the time that I've allocated and the boundaries I've set, I'm smashing it. And then outside of that, I'm resting and looking after myself. So I feel good.
And enjoying life. Oh my God, that picture you posted, was it yesterday or the day before?
How beautiful is that?
So, I mean, the whole picture was like, obviously the picture is stunning, but then just the whole, was that unit from Home Sweat Footy?
No, but I think they sell it out of multiple places. So I got that from Lounge Lovers. But it's gone a little viral at the moment, so everybody's trying to pick it up from anywhere. But I'm so lame, but I'm trying to enter this art competition. That's why I posted the photo, because you can get more Jen Severs art, who's obviously my favorite artist. So
amazing.
I posted that to, yeah.
Well, it looked amazing, and I obviously once we get out of level 4, I would love to see the transformation in person. I've got I'm like, right, I'm sick of my living room being like, it's fine, it's totally fine, but it's not
beautiful.
It's not like designed the way it's just not quite finished yet. And so I've made this list of the things I need finished, some shelving, a rug, like a nice like sideboard or like the one that
I'll send you the link to where I got it. I just want to check, because my sound okay, because I'm looking at your audio waves coming through super strong and mine look a little weak.
Yeah, it's totally fine, because I will fix that in post-production.
Sorry to do that to you.
So I said to, I've now passed this trick on to Elise and to Christine as well, because I was saying to her, do you have problems with the differential? Because obviously I'm like loud and then like, ha, 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 and it's all spiky and shit. And so I found a great tool on Audio City. So you have to compress both audio files first, and then you can normalize the loudness, and it absolutely evens everything out. Like 2 clicks.
Dream.
2 clicks. It used to take me, because the first 10 episodes I was doing it manually. Dick.
Oh, yeah.
What a dick.
Right. So time consuming.
And that's why I wanted to go. I was like, once I found that.
Yeah.
Once I found that, it saved me like 4 hours an episode.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding.
I'm so proud of you. What a dream. Maybe I'll get back into it with all this podcasting, editing.
Yes. Well, that's my hope. I'll get you on this episode. I'll reignite your love for it.
I miss it. I definitely miss podcasting. It's like, I miss it.
Yeah. I had a few weeks ago, I was like, ugh.
Right? And you launch and you release an episode that you're so proud of, and you're like, this is why I do what I do. And then you go into post-production and you're like, why am I doing this? So I get it.
100%. And I fell out of love with it just a little bit, but I think it's also my own fault, because it's just expanded. Like my episode lengths have gone now twice as long as I anticipated. Because I'm like, no, I need more from this human while I have them. Let's get all of the story.
And 50 episodes, Rosie, I'm so proud of you. That is a huge feat. That's massive.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to being on It's No Money as well. It's no secret. It's no money. It's all the money. It's no secret. It's just in my head, like doing some stuff. So they had some tips on a recent episode, which was so great to be able to share that. But it was just such a vulnerable and different sharing from me. So I'm a little anxious as well, I must admit.
So normal. That's so normal. But Christine just gloated about your episode. She said that you were amazing, that you gave tangible tips, but that your vulnerability, which is, I think, completely your superpower, just made for the most amazing episode.
Thank you. Well, let's get on to your episode, which is why we're here. Okay, let's start off with the collateral capture.
Okay, perfect. I can do that.
And then we will jump into the questions because, there's a few of them. And I really wanted to do this because I was just so new when I had you on first time. And so in my head about ask the question and do this right, and just didn't really get the flow that was so us. So I really wanted to give you some space, and 50 is a really special episode to me, and I wanted to share it with someone incredibly special, which is you. So thanks for being here.
Of course, Rosey. I'm so excited to be your 50th episode. I think the Rosey on Recruitment podcast is such a hit, and I think you are carving out a space in the podcast market that is just perfect. And I love your energy. I love listening to you, and I'll be more happy to be a guest on today's show. So a little introduction. I am Mikayla. I am founder of Her Career and currently Chief Marketing Officer of The Face Place. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little later, but that's all about to change in a few weeks. So I've recently landed a new job, and hopefully I can help you navigate that. If you're going through that, and just, have a chat with Rosey about that whole roller coaster.
It's always an interesting time.
It is.
There's some weird feedback.
Oh, really? From me?
I don't know. It comes and goes. That's so weird.
It is weird.
Let's carry on. Because then it went. As soon as I said that, it went.
Some collateral after this anyway, if it doesn't work out.
Of course. Let's jump into it. I wanted to visit the old format that we had when we were DNMing over our Her Career podcasts. And it's been a while since we caught up, face to face. So
when was the last time? I honestly can't remember.
I think it was a virtual as well, because we just couldn't coordinate something.
Calendars.
So it's, bloody useless woman. But there's good reason. We've always got something on. But here we are. So what have you been up to? We've had a huge week. Level 4 lockdown is where we are at today. We might be out of it, hopefully, by the time I release, but we don't know that yet. So let me know, what is going on with you? What's the check-in?
Little chicken. So as you said, we're in lockdown. It's always funny speaking about that on a medium that's time sensitive, because you're right. When this goes up, who knows if we will be or we won't be. But I guess for us, it's been 8 months since going into our last lockdown. So I can hear that feedback.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just double check that I don't have anything else open. Because that is not fun. We like good audio, not audio like that. I've got everything else closed. That is so strange. And I know that my port in this laptop is not the best of ports. So if I put microphones in, it might play up a little more. I wonder what it is that's activating that feedback. Because I'm talking right now and I can't hear.
It's fine. It's like when we both talk, right? Let me see if I
talk. Go.
Yeah.
Just talk over me.
Go right now. Right. Well.
Right now.
I know. Talking. This is when you get two podcasting nerds together. We'll get to the bottom of this.
I hate bad audio, so I want to make sure that it's good.
It's fine. I will work some good magic. Don't you worry.
Oh, I just feel for you because I know what it's like in post-production. But okay.
That's so funny, right?
All right. It's sounding okay now. If it does do feedback, I'm just going to repeat what I said.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great.
Okay.
I mean, our video watchers on YouTube will get double answers. That's cool. Because I've just refused to edit, because I started editing the video as well, and that took just as long. And I'm like, why am I doing that? Just raw video it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And get the podcast out properly, because that's the audio you need to have short and sharp.
I agree. Okay. No, that's fine.
Chicken.
all in all, she's been really good. I am leg deep in a website launch, so that should be launching in about 2 days. It is so beautiful. I'm so excited, and we've just been crafting the website, the EDM, and the social strategy to make sure it all looks beautiful across all our channels. So that's been amazing. And I've actually, over the last 6 weeks since, or in the lead up to my new role, I'm really focused on just being in the best, I guess, mental and physical position that I could possibly be in. So I've been looking after myself, meditating, working out, eating well, and I feel really good and clear and just excited. So yeah. That's good.
I love that. And I love that for you too, because I know that it's such a great headspace to be in when you can pull that all together.
And I think often that gets put to the back when you're so focused on your career and you're juggling 10,000 things. I think we so rarely look after ourselves. But I'm finding the byproduct of looking after myself is that I'm a better performer in my career. So they really do go hand in hand. Yeah.
You've got more energy to get more done. You've got more motivation to do that. You're not having those sugar slumps of...
Which I'm so guilty of. Anyway, how about you? You've been good? You've been happy and busy?
Yeah. I think most importantly... my family is healthy and happy and well right now. And because we're in level 4, it kind of also took me back to just before we got Sumo, because he came into our lives just before the first level 4 lockdown. And he has, I think, successfully been reinstated as our Chief Happiness Officer of home. So he is, it's impossible to believe just how adoring he is and just what he can do to help lift spirits. So far lockdown's been really busy for me though. It's like negotiating offers and rescheduling with candidates and clients and interviews. We are that bridge between so many people. And when things like this happen, it's really impactful. So I'm also working on some really interesting roles that have low candidate numbers. There's a lot of kind of just approaching new people. And it's what I find is it's in terms of candidate approach now, this time makes them more reflective and they're really open to have a conversation, and not everyone has people in their bubble, and so it's quite nice to have someone new reach out to them. So it's been kind of really lovely speaking to new people and having them share quite a bit about where they're at.
I just could not think how lucky people are. And, I hate that word luck, but to have you on the other side helping somebody through their recruitment journey, like if I could choose anybody in the world to do that, it would be you. So any candidate who's on your side, I'm just like, I hope they realize how fortunate they are, because it would just make such a stressful period that little bit easier.
Yeah, it is an honor, and it's so great to be able to chat with these people and understand their dreams. And it's not always a fit, unfortunately, at that time, but I've been really heartened to hear people just say they felt really safe, which is all I want to be able to create through this time, and keeping ears and eyes open for new opportunities always. But talking about lucky as well, and we are in this lockdown, but it just really made me think about other tragedies around the world and the perspective that I think sometimes we need to better have here. Like, oh my God, what's happening in Afghanistan, flooding in Germany, Greece and Turkey on fire, human rights, particularly in women's rights in Afghanistan, it's a terrifying future. And we have a number of people complaining about wearing masks out in public. And I really struggle with that. I really struggle with it.
It takes everything in me not to send them a link of what is actually happening over there, and just we are. And then I just think, pick your battles. Don't dive in to a conversation with somebody who's wanting a fight, and just take a breath, because I'm in the same boat. I find it so frustrating when we've got a roof over our heads. We're doing fine.
Yeah. What a great check-in. I've missed those.
Ooh, me too, Rosey.
So getting into my usual podcast format, I really want to know what recruitment and career mean to you.
Of course. I've just written a few little notes on the side as well. I just want to make sure that I articulate these correctly. And I think for me, obviously the two go hand in hand. I think for me, my career is a chance and a platform to share my voice, my skills, and sort of a funnel to grow me as a person and those around me. And I think recruitment's often the vehicle that helps get us there. So, yeah, I mean, you know how much I tie my identity into my career, and it's very much a part of who I am as the work I do. So both of them mean a lot to me, and I think nearly everybody around the world as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's so much honesty in what you say there and how you're living it and the perspective of what you've done so far in your career and how you help others. So
Rosey, what does recruitment mean to you? I'm interested to know if it's changed as well over the years, being really in the thick of it now versus what you were doing, 18 months ago. Has it changed for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think like recruitment to me has always meant opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant new direction possibilities.
Yeah.
And just being a different part of who someone potentially is if given that choice and new road to walk down. So, I mean, career to me is, we always talk about it, squiggly line, right?
Yes.
Squiggly line. Mine is an absolute example of that. And it's great because we're in two different parts of our career, and that whole piece about identity being tied into it. I've spoken so much about that with the disestablishment that I faced. But I was talking with a couple of beautiful ladies this morning, Sally and Simone, about the transition of my last year. And it was absolutely unexpected. It was going from being down in Wellington the week before level 4 lockdown, coming home and then everything changing. By the time I re-entered a new office, it was a new team. I was in a new industry. I pivoted. And so actual recruitment hasn't changed, even though I've become more involved in it. I always think that it's about what the attitude, the curiosity, the enthusiasm that any individual brings is what they can potentially get out of recruitment. And really, unfortunately, sometimes it's about the person who's making the choice to allow that opportunity and they don't get it. So for me, it's about hopefully educating those people that get to make the hiring choices to be less judgmental and less stale, perhaps, in how they make that choice and more open. But without risks, if someone's been successful elsewhere, then they can be successful. They just need the support and a little bit of time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like that. I love the way you put things together. I totally agree.
Well, speaking of that, because you've been in your role now for nearly 6 years and you are moving on, as you said, and that's a long time. And in New Zealand, that's a long tenure for someone to be in a role. And you've grown a lot in that time. So what big decisions did you have to make around that consideration to move? And what are you most looking forward to?
So there's a lot to sort of unpack here. For me, being at a place for nearly 6 years in a company that gave me almost everything that I wanted in my career, especially in those first crucial 6 years. They gave me ownership, they gave me growth opportunities, they gave me, I guess, a belief as well. They knew that I could do the job really, really well, and so they kind of just gave me the reins and let me fly. And so leaving was a really hard decision. So I've probably had, over the last 12 months, several different conversations with several different people about role opportunities, and I've often turned them down because I am so attached to my role at the faceplate and the people there. And so it was a really hard deliberation, but for me, this opportunity came up, and I think the key driver there is the industry that it's in. So, I mean, Rosey, obviously you know, but for anybody listening, I am so passionate, and this isn't just lip service. I genuinely am passionate about financial well-being and helping improve the financial position of the people around me. And so the company that I'm moving into, that is their core mission. And so for me, that's
such an alignment.
It's such an alignment. And the beauty is they've got their core company, which is an established business, has been around for 15 years.
Yep.
But they're building the sister company, which is essentially it's fintech. So it's an app, basically a financial coach in your pocket. And so that to me was a huge, as I said, a huge driver. And so the considerations, if I just park the industry and what the role actually is, was I going to step into a new company that had the right culture? That was probably number one, especially leaving a company with a really healthy culture. And then two, am I working with really smart people? So I don't want to be the shark in the ocean. I want to be the fish, and I want to be able to absorb from really intelligent marketers. So at the moment, I lead the marketing, and I have so many incredible people around me who have helped drive my understanding of business and leadership, but there's no strong marketing expert. And at this new place, there is going to be a pool of really incredible marketers. And so I get to learn and absorb, a whole new realm of things. And so for me, that was really important and really exciting. So yeah, I'll say that those are the main considerations for me, and just making sure that it's a place that's going to help, provide me with opportunities to keep going, to keep growing, so that I can be the best brand marketer, hopefully, that Australasia's ever seen. That's the end goal.
I have no doubt about that.
Thank you.
But I think the key takeaway for me, and that I hope others can feel from that, is it was really around value alignment and appreciating that you've completed what you can in one area. But there's always been this calling from, our interactions of accelerating money for humans.
Yes, that's it. I mean, money's our number one stressor. It can really do so much good, but it can also, break families, relationships, and put so much stress on the individual. And I've been in those spaces, and I don't want people to go through that. I want people to feel empowered, that they've got the knowledge to be able to look after themselves and those around them. And so, like you say, that is just such a perfect match to be able to actually be doing something in my job that really does make a financial difference in people's lives.
I'm so excited to see how this progresses. Like, I just could not think of anything more perfect. And when you think kind of fintech and future viewing and coaching around finances and the passion that you naturally have for that, it's just like ideal.
Thank you. And I'm trying to tell them this, when we're having these interviews, and I'm looking across the table and I'm like, 100% every other candidate's probably told them this. Do they even believe me? And I'm like, if you looked at my background, if you spoke to people, you would know that this means everything to me.
Yeah. But I think that's the importance of also being strong enough to stand up. Like you've stood up. You have said things around entrepreneurial women, empowering them, helping them through career with money. So anyone that has done any of that research can see that you are walking that talk. So it's beautiful.
And that's what was quite fascinating throughout the most recent recruitment process, is they were more interested in the work that I've done with Her Career because of that value alignment over my CMO role, where I'm leading a significant marketing team and business. So that was really cool. It was a reminder of all the work that we did and how much of an impact it made and still does make in women's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So proud.
Thank you.
You're amazing. So as your responsibilities increased with your promotions through the Face Place, how do you think you've developed as a leader, and what legacy do you hope to leave there?
Oh, good question. I think the way I've developed as a leader is probably rooted in the way that I look after those around me as opposed to myself. So I think when I was starting my career, it was very much about me. And now as I progress, I see that I've been able to have such a big impact on other people in my team and those around me. And to me, that's sort of been the transition, as being able to help provide people with a better work environment, with the inspiration to know what they're doing in their day-to-day, to make them feel like they've got a safe space at work, and also being able to help even if it's just one other person, breathe that little bit easier in their work environment and feel supported, that's been a real shift in my priority. That means so much to me, to make sure that those around me feel good in the space that they spend most of their lives. So I think that kind of ties into the legacy, as I'd hope that people would, those that have worked around me, would feel passionate about the work that they do, and also know that they can stand up for what they believe in, and also push forward projects and feel like they've got a voice.
Yeah. Sounds very much like a servant leadership type mentality. And just that you've discovered that so early on in your career. I mean, I know that you search for information and progressively are continuously improving as a human, as a professional, but that you take that on board so promptly and really align that with who you want to be and how you want to be seen and how you want to interact with others is a beautiful example of who you are.
Thank you, Rosey. I just feel like it's not a given, being put into a leadership role so young is a really fortunate space to be in, and I want to use that privilege to actually make an impact.
I love it. I think I figured out what it is. I think because when I'm breathing heavily, it's like I can hear it on your mic. I think my mic's picking up my weird sounds. We will work through it. But I'm like, I think that's what it is. It's not like the actual proper sounds. It's like weird, low registering sounds. It's picking up.
Super faint. I heard it before when I was having a yarn, but
no, that's cool. We'll continue. We've sleuthed it, I think.
I'm just looking at your audio bars looking so strong.
I know. Well, it's funny because when I recorded with Dr. Angela Lim as well from Clear Head, because she said the same. We're about 20 minutes and she's like, "Are you getting anything?" And if you listen to her episode, we're absolutely totally fine.
Amazing.
Totally fine.
Thank you for the reassurance.
Compression, loudness normalization. That's a tip for any of the budding podcasters out there.
I was on a YouTube video. It was 18 minutes long, learning how to do that manually. I've done it over 50 times to the point where I could almost mimic line for line the instructions, and I still struggled.
Yeah, and this is why I sent tips off to Christine. I was like, if you're spending any time doing this is a 2-click thing. And so now for my video, because obviously the video attached to the Zencastr audio, the audio is raw, right? Yeah. So now I just take the audio out, the raw audio, and I'll normalize it and then add that audio to the new video. So it's got so at least on YouTube you can hear it properly, and then I edit the podcast with just the audio.
Amazing. Look at you, little Miss T.
Got this now. It's all your fault. It's 100% your fault. What have you done to me?
I know. Podcast life is the best, though.
Hashtag podcast live. Okay, back to this. What being in marketing, and so people outside of different departments always have a view of what that job is or what is great or not great about it. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about being in marketing, and especially as a chief marketing officer?
So great question. There's this famous trope that I've heard going around for chief marketing officers that basically companies hire them every 2 years to change a logo, do an org restructure, and update the website. And that's the role of the CMO. And whilst that's true, because we do all of that as well, I think it's just so much more about a successful CMO role. I think will integrate themselves into the middle of the business and make change from there, as opposed to being the little ad hoc piece of the puzzle that's chucked on the side. So if you think about it like renovating a house, I feel like the CMO role in the marketing team is really the lounge and the living area and the kitchen, the core space that's able to influence everybody else, as opposed to the 8th bedroom that you're putting on at the end of the house. And so that's the way I look at marketing, is it's a communication portal to help grow the people internally and also those externally, so your clients and and your brand's perception. So, yeah, that's how I would sort of sum it up in a nutshell. But I think there was a lot of work for me when I first started at the Face Place specifically around actually explaining what I would be doing here, because they had always used external agencies and they had, a customer manager, and there was marketing internally, but it was very much sort of a 10-hour job that was just put onto somebody else's core role. And so we really shifted that to make, like I said, marketing a really big driving force within the company. And so being logistically in the space that we were at the Face Place, I was fortunate enough to be able to speak to every department face to face, get that buy-in, and then help offer strategic direction for the company as a whole, but also, per department. So I think it's really like the glue that can push or break a company.
And if you're a marketer, take note of that for your next job interview and how you can explain what it is that you can do in a business. I think it's really important that people get to hear the behind the scenes, because certainly no one outside of marketing or as a CMO would see that, understand it, have lived it. And that's why I think it's really important to start asking people that deliver in these ways, what is that value? Because if they don't have somebody advocating for that in the business, then they're just going to continue to undervalue the opportunity and possibilities to invest in that area. I
agree. And I think marketing touches everything, even recruitment. If you are using an external agency or your internal HR team, that is such a PR piece within itself. And so if your recruitment agency isn't representing the brand or the company correctly, that then damages the company. So I think marketing just stretches out to every single department within the company. And I think if you don't have that buy-in, then there's a misalignment between what you're saying externally as to who you are versus who you actually are within the company.
Yeah, and we see that all over the place, right? Organizations that just don't walk their talk.
Exactly.
There is just such a misalignment.
Yeah. I see it a lot too, and it's such a shame when they've obviously, spent tens of thousands of dollars on an excellent brand campaign, but you walk into that company and that experience does not align to what you thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I see the role of the CMO in a nutshell.
Moving on to Her Career. What was most rewarding about your decision to start Her Career? So we know, high level, you couldn't find entrepreneurial support to help get you into C-suite. There was lots of entrepreneurial support and skills out there, but you decided to build that up yourself. So what's been your biggest takeaway from being both an ambitious entrepreneur who is in C-suite and walking that talk authentically, and a founder at the same time?
My biggest takeaway, I think the key thing here for me is that there's such a need for that support wherever you are along your career, whether you actually are at C-suite, whether you're a founder, whether you're entrepreneurial. I think people need that support from other people who are even 2 steps ahead. I look at our relationship, and I needed you so much throughout our Her Career journey, just to even throw things up against the wall without having somebody that I trusted to give me a genuine opinion. I would have been going like this as opposed to this. And so I think that's been my biggest takeaway, is the need that no matter what stage of your career, what you're doing, how old you are, is you need that support and you need people in your corner and that mentorship. I still hear that today. I had a dinner the other weekend. I hosted about 5 marketers, and every single one was looking for a mentor. So there's such a strong need for that. People, especially ambitious people, they want to be able to accelerate their career and just, have somebody safe to speak to, that there's no judgment, but that actually has the expertise to be able to help grow them. That's definitely my biggest takeaway, is it's a product I believe in, and I think we'll need for the rest of time.
Yeah. And it's such an honor to be in those spaces too. And I know you've spoken about this a lot, like watching people have aha moments and seeing them experience their vision as that comes to life, because they have the confidence, because they've planned, because they've had discussions, and it's beautiful.
It is. It's the best feeling. I actually have a folder of every single person who ever messaged us, whether that was from a one-on-one mentorship session or just even through Instagram or a podcast listener. Every single person that said that our voice impacted them to do X, Y, and Z, or made them do this kind of action, I have saved that, because that means everything. You really can have such a big impact on people when you're doing good work.
Yeah, that ripple effect, because then they're out there doing some amazing things too.
That's it, exactly.
Given all of that, if you could go back, would you change anything about your career so far?
Not a single thing. No, not at all. I am very deliberate about how I've done my career. Even when I was 15 years old, giving up my summer holidays to work, that was deliberate. And I knew that that would pay dividends 10 years down the track, or even, pay dividends 2 years down the track, because I actually had experience going into university and being able to get better roles than, I guess, the general population. And so, no, I don't regret a single thing.
I think you're absolutely right. You've been deliberate and you've been so incredibly smart, and it's been an honor to be a part of seeing you continue to make those decisions so wisely, but impacting everybody you touch so positively along the way. So many people climb that ladder from the start and do it in a way that impacts others and pulls them down, but you have pulled every single person with you up. So that is something that you need to be applauded for, and that not many have the skills to be able to accomplish. So amazing.
You have as well. I mean, looking at your career, just, you say it's gone like this, and I feel the same way for, myself, but I mean, there's nothing you can regret, even,
No.
What you went through in the last 18 months, you learned so much.
So much.
You're learning things that is, even if it's under bad leadership, and you're like, I don't want to be that kind of leader, even though it's shit for you at the time, it's learning. So I just don't think you can regret. Oh, I can hear such bad feedback right now. Sorry.
Is someone cutting like a tree? So I will mute when I'm not talking. Because, of course, they're cutting a tree on a Friday afternoon.
Lockdown, God damn it.
Okay, we're going to jump into the next question, and I'm going to mute in between, because I think that's what it is. It's just, it weirdly is picking up like the little sounds and amplifying them. Thanks, microphone. You're doing a job perfectly. I'll find the little sounds and make them really loud. Going to do another podcast, a Her Career podcast throwback, where we hit some recommendations. Book, podcast, movie that you're all about right now. Go.
Okay, amazing. So actually we're at such a long list, because I have been diving headfirst into so much content at the moment. I actually really struggle to pick the best. So bear with me. I'm going to make this as efficient as possible.
Come at us.
That is actually my learning, is being able to, what I'm trying to work on at the moment is articulate communications clearly and effectively. So let's give this a go. So, podcast. One of the most amazing podcasts that I have ever listened to is by a man called Kieran Flanagan. He is the VP Marketing at HubSpot, and it's called The Growth TLDR. So I have binged every single episode. And what is so special about this is he interviews other people from really successful businesses, startups, marketing, you name it. And those podcasts that you listen to that kind of just give almost fluffy advice. They don't actually go behind the scenes and say,
yes,
I spend this much.
Most of them.
Right? Especially like the marketing and the business stuff. People don't want to get honest and vulnerable about what actually happened and the numbers and the things that didn't work out. And this is completely the opposite of that. I think it transcends the narrow entrepreneurial audience. And I think anybody who is in the professional services industry, who's running a business, who's within an organization, entrepreneurial, can benefit so much from this podcast. It's so genius, and he gives you so many hacks that you can then go and implement in your business, or go and suggest and use that piece to then get a pay rise. There's just so much goodness in there. So that's my podcast. And book, I've actually got it right here just for...
I love that we've got, here's easy access to the book.
Of course, for all those playing at home. So this is called What the Heck Is Eos? And so I had never heard of EOS before, but the new company I'm working with, that's their operating system. And so basically it is a way of making decisions within a company, and it's sort of a new age way of leadership. So it's vulnerable leadership, it's transparent leadership, it's honest leadership. And this, to me, I think...
I will be reading that.
It's so good. I will send it over to you. I think it's the new way everybody should be leading companies. And if you're not, I think it's an archaic race to the bottom, basically. I mean, I don't have time for disingenuous leadership and people who aren't transparent and who aren't honest. I don't want to be around that. And I don't think the workforce coming through wants to be either. So, amazing book, very good learnings. And then, can I do one more? Okay.
Yes, go ahead. You may. Please do.
Thank you. So this is a bit more sugary. I don't know if you've started watching this, Rosey. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, but it's what I'm watching right now, so I'm just going to recommend it. It's called The White Lotus. It's an HBO.
Have not, but I had a recommendation for it this morning, and so I have heard about it, and I heard it's doing good things. So yeah, I was.
Well, get on that. That says something. You've had 2 recommendations in one day, right? And I can't tell you why I like it. It's just, I don't know, the music, the way that they filmed it is just, anything by HBO is good. Hopefully it's not too dated by the time this goes out. But yeah, give that a go. There's some special, interesting, I don't know, storylines in that. I like it.
I heard the end is really interesting.
Oh, well, I haven't got there yet. I'm up to episode 6.
Okay, well then, keep an eye out for that.
What are you watching at the moment?
Yeah, so interesting. I did have a bit of a think, but I'm in such a weird place at the moment in terms of binging stuff, but it's series that I know. Yeah. And it was interesting. I was reading this little kind of meme the other day talking about how people with high anxiety or past trauma tend to watch or consume things that they know they enjoy because there's a level of comfort in that. And I thought for me, there's so much relatability to that because there's so many other balls in the air. And I do like watching some nice things, but I have to really be in the mood for new consumption. Like I really got to want to, otherwise I will just watch and listen to things that I know. So the book, this is a book, it was just a little Blinkist that I listened to the other day. It's quite old. It's from 2013, but Manage Your Day-to-Day by Jocelyn K. Glee. Okay. And what I loved about it is it's a compilation of interviews and essays from thought leaders, and it's on the subjects of productivity and creativity. And I kind of feel like I am very much in that vein. There's a lot in terms of recruitment that is very process driven, but you have to have a high level of emotional engagement, both candidate side and ensuring you've got resource and professional eyes on for the organization. But then the creativity part, obviously with podcasting and collateral creating. And so bringing all of that together, I'm like, I need all the hacks I can get.
You're right, though. You are such a good mix of both of those out. I completely agree.
Oh, I don't know if I'm a good mix of it. I'm a mix of it.
You are a good mix. You are. I remember you designing stuff. I'm like, where is this creativity coming from? Who are you? You are really good.
It's a blessing and a curse, as you know. Because you say things and you're like, all the things.
I get that.
But what I love is the catchphrase for the book is that it aims to be a playbook of best practices for producing great work. Okay. Who doesn't want to do that? Very cool.
I want to do that. I want to do that, definitely.
So the series I've been consuming, as opposed to kind of a movie, very much downtime in my head. I've got 3 things I'm all about right now, and you thought yours was sugary? No. I've been raving about this, I know, for about the last month, but Starstruck with Rose Matafeo, which is a series which is on TVNZ On Demand.
Yeah.
She is obviously like an amazing Kiwi stand-up comic, and it's a very short season. I think there's like 4 or 6 episodes, and it's hilarious.
Okay.
Like, hilarious. I watched it, and then I immediately rewatched the whole series. This is what happens to me. But Starstruck.
This isn't that one where she is a comedian and she's sort of at the end of her career? And
no, she has a one-night stand with like a famous movie actor, and she didn't realize. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So okay, I'll watch that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And I've been watching MasterChef Australia, even though I know who wins and we're like weeks behind. I just enjoy watching it while I'm hungry, which is ridiculous.
Did you watch last night and the ice cream that they didn't like? But how good did that look?
I was like, get me a bowl now. That popsicle looks amazing.
Even the popsicle holders, I was like, we've got to buy popsicle holders.
I know, like, I need that in my life. Why do I not have that yet?
Same boat.
And the last thing, of course, RuPaul's Drag Race. And all seasons is out on Netflix at the moment, and I'm all about it. And they finally revealed the game within a game, and I've been waiting 9 weeks. And
it's going to be a show for like anxiety as well. And you're just, when the world's, you know, just an interesting place and you just want to have a safe space, that's got to be your show.
Because it's competition still.
Yes.
But it's so deep on so many other levels.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. There's something else as well that I was going to share, but I completely forgot. It just slipped my mind. This is my mind that goes 1,000 miles. Podcast. I think, you know, speaking about anxiety.
Yeah.
I think for me, I clicked the other day why I consume so many podcasts, because I probably...
You consume an inordinate amount of podcasts, which is amazing.
No, it's crazy. I get anxiety when I run out of all my podcasts, because I'm like, what else do I listen to? But I think the thing is when I'm doing or consuming media that isn't a podcast, I have a sense of guilt, because I'm sitting here doing a podcast. I can actually be super productive.
I'm learning.
That's it. But you could also do house cleaning or go for a walk. It's probably a really unhealthy way of living life.
I don't think so.
Things, but that's why I love them, because I feel like
you should listen to Blinkist as well. Like I think that like the podcasts are great, but I have found that I'm moved more to the version I've got is 12 minute. They had like they had like a lifelong subscription out of Mashable. So I just paid for that, and then I can have it forever, which is great. Like, this is take my $60 and give me Blinkist the entire time. And then I also can find the books I really want to dive into more deeply. And it's a really, and because you like to read as well, it'll be a great way for you to get a synopsis version.
Oh, sold. Done.
Yeah, they're good.
I'll do it. I'll get
fantastic.
it.
Next question.
Amazing. All right.
That was nice. That was a nice revisit of the...
There was. I agree.
Reviews.
That was a nice... I miss doing that. I actually really miss
I think we're going to come back and do a few more episodes with you. So, yeah, that's fine.
Maybe I could be your 100th guest and then your 150th guest and then your 200th.
God. We'll do them closer than that, babes. You could be on like a couple of my review episodes, and we can just do check-ins and recommendations. Then it's just...
I would love that.
Yes, me too.
All right.
Yeah, so doing that.
That's the plan.
Second to last question. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was actually really interested to ask you how you're finding recruitment at the moment. Like, I feel like it's very much an employee's market as opposed to an employer's. And do you believe the same? Like, what are you finding out there?
Yeah, it's definitely very candidate driven for sure. But then it also depends on the role and the skill level. So we still have organisations that are looking for some pretty specific candidates, but those candidates are not available right now. So the unemployment rate is really low. So obviously there's that. There's no immigrants coming in. So there are border restrictions. There are people here with visas that can only work in certain organisations because they need to be accredited. So there's a lot of different factors in play that haven't been in play all at once in forever. So when I talk to, Customize has been around for 11 years, and basically everyone else in the company, aside from myself, has been involved in recruitment for over a decade each. And Michael worked over in Australia as well, and he owned a recruitment agency over there. And Nat, who's one of our technology partners, technology is one of those very tight fields at the moment. So they're going afield to Australia and the US.
Wow.
But so many different factors that have traditionally impacted recruitment at particular times are happening all at once.
Right.
So it's really interesting. It's driven up a lot of salaries in some sectors.
Yes.
Then you have a number of people that have skills for industries that have very little work at the moment. So you're looking at tourism, you're looking at hospitality, and there are some transferable skills, but some of them trying to get into the likes of, say, administration roles, which may be an easier entry into another sector. So there are a lot of people applying for those types of roles.
Right.
But when you're looking for a very specific background and industry type, SaaS, business development, UX, UI, back-end developers, full-stack developers, particular languages and stacks that they're working in, it's very difficult to match them up. And they're being hunted by everybody. So there's fatigue from the candidate as well of, oh my God, just don't. I've heard from 30 agencies. Yeah. So that's, for us, that's where it's really important, because we have a technology team of 5 and we know these people. They've trusted us before. We've placed them. We've put them in roles that they've loved. And so they trust when we chat with them about how we'll handle candidates they know. So when we reach out and ask them for recommendations, we're not just calling them cold and doing that work that way.
Yeah, nice approach. It's fascinating, from somebody who's actually in the recruitment space and understanding that, because we found it hard even to hire for my role. And we're not hiring exactly for that CMO level. We're looking more at that marketing manager to work up into the CMO role. But we're really struggling at the moment because of particularly salary inflation.
Yeah, well, people are also, because people are hearing that it's a candidate light market, they're less reluctant to go. They're less likely to go out and kind of hunt themselves, which is something that drives people to ads, or at least gets them inquiring if they see something on Facebook or LinkedIn or Seek. So you're having to be much more proactive. And this is obviously, it's serving us well, because people are going through this process once or twice themselves and seeing that they really don't have the skill set to complete the end-to-end process, but even to complete step 1, which is the sourcing process, and that is taking as much time as the entire process used to take historically.
Wow.
So as an example, I'm working with an organization, well, probably 3 or 4 organizations that have had roles open since about April, May, and they've attempted to fill these roles themselves from that period of time. And so we've been chatting during this process and re-engaged. And so I've given them, new proposals. And it's like, well, if you actually do want these roles filled, I will market, do a market map for you. So that's creating a complete overview of kind of who's in the market, the smaller sector of who's available, a smaller sector again of who's interested. And then they can see kind of the 100+ people it takes to get to a list of maybe 3 or 4. And you can't do that while also trying to complete a full-time role. And you can't keep the same process you had from before COVID. So some of these processes, they wanted to have 4 different interviews and case studies and spend X amount of time doing this. So some of that does absolutely still need to be completed from a business case or technology testing, or kind of psychometric testing requirement, but if candidates don't have to jump through 15 hoops and they've got 3 offers on the table, why would they do that? So you just need to, I'm not saying strip everything, but have a chat with, obviously, us. We'd love you to, but a really great agency that can talk you through what in your process can be streamlined and how you can shorten that period of time, because people are 1 or 2 interviews and they're getting really great offers.
Yeah. Good to hear, though, from the candidate side of things. So if you're listening to this looking for a job, that's exciting.
That's better. I wanted to touch on this because I know it's something that has been there in your career, and it won't for much longer.
Yeah.
Which sounds interesting and mysterious, but it's around ageism. You've been an advocate for overcoming ageism in the workplace. I want to know more about what's been challenging about that, and a key piece of advice for those that are graduates or entering into the workforce and feeling that they're under that same pressure so that they can be seen and heard.
Yeah, great. I mean, another great question. You're right. I have dove into ageism for as long as I can remember. I remember being, the consequence of ageism is that people will look over really amazing candidates or potential new team members because the age is so strong in that profile. And so for me, when I was first starting out, I definitely noticed that would come up a lot. People would say, you do have a bit of experience for a new grad, but you're just so young. And so the biggest thing was their fear around how much influence I could actually have over the older team members, particularly in a role that would need it. I think, that's why I look at the yes that I was given from my now CEO and GM, who really parked any ageism that they had, and they believed in my ability to learn on the role. And I completely applaud them for doing that because it's paid dividends. But I do think there are so many people out there who are not hiring amazing people because of age. And I think it goes the other way as well. I think there's older people who have so much to offer and a real thirst of wanting to prove people wrong. But no, you do not fall into that category.
It was me, the sound, but yeah.
I thought you were like me. I was like, excuse me, you've got about 20 more years before you're there. 20, 30, 40.
Oh, God, I feel like I was there a decade ago sometimes.
But that's continue. To know that you get ageism, that there's a consequence of that at either end of the spectrum. You're always going to be too young for some people. You're also going to be too old. And I think the best thing to do is just acknowledge that ageism exists. As much as I hate that, it does exist. But the best way to prove those people wrong is by getting into those roles, doing the work, and proving people wrong. There's no better feeling because, whilst I said I was given the yes at the early start of my career with the Face Place, there was definitely people within the company who were older who didn't think this young 20-something-year-old could actually really make a change. And I was able to prove that wrong and really get their buy-in. So I think just knowing that you will experience ageism, no matter where you are along the spectrum, but being prepared to put in the work, create excellent work, and then prove people wrong is one of, the best things you can do, but also I think advocate for others. So if you see somebody else who's in a position of power to make a decision and ageism or fear around a particular age is holding them back from making a call, stand up for that and say, well, if we just remove this from the profile, does that then still create a bias for you? And if not, let's go with that.
Yeah, that's so wise. It's funny because I was talking with Sally Henson and Hannah, in her episode, and we were talking about how we could take all of this experience from seniors in the workplace or those that are getting overlooked that have been in management or worked fantastically in operations and they're finding it difficult to be hired somewhere. Wouldn't it be amazing to have a scheme where they could come in and work directly with grads, because the managers in the business don't have time to give them that type of one-on-one
Yes.
mentorship, but also they're not a threat to the other graduates. Like, they're passing on all of this knowledge and able to help them and shape them, but not doing so in a way that would prevent them from climbing the ladder.
Yes, I love that. Definitely.
Yes. I just, it could be such a great working model. And I just don't think we leverage those opportunities at both ends of that ageism scale, very well at all.
Wholeheartedly. And I think we need to see more diversity, not just in terms of gender on boards, but also age. I think, like you just said, both ends of the spectrum have so much to offer. So get that diverse pool of people onto your boards. It doesn't matter if they've had 2, 3, 4 years experience. They are, especially if that's your market.
That's the future of, exactly. Get ahead of your market.
That's it. That's what you should be doing.
Opportunities are huge.
You want to be in business for the next 2, 3 years. You want to be in there for as long as possible and create a sustainable business. So find who that next market is and get them, get them in the thick of it. It just makes so much sense to me, personally.
Yeah, I agree. We've come to our last question, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Okay.
But what does being whole human, imperfect, and real mean to you?
That's a good one. To me, I think that means getting to the end of my day, being able to look myself in the mirror and just back every call, interaction, decision I made within that 24 hours. I look at it in blocks, and I think something that you've really taught me, Rosey, and something that I probably struggled with and still am struggling, is in leadership positions, sometimes being too much of a human and being too bubbly and too loud and too excited and too passionate. But then I look at you, who's such a mirror of me in that sense, and you've done so many amazing things, and you do get to be yourself. And I think that's really important, that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I think for me, if I want to live my most authentic self, it is being the bubbly Mikayla that people really enjoy, and those that don't have to. So I think for me, it's an ongoing learning process, that I don't have to quieten my voice, and I don't have to, even just having a stable voice. This is me. I like my voice like that.
Yeah.
I am excited.
Yes.
And so for me, it's learning to know that is okay. And just, continuing to be myself and not trying to dull that down.
Yeah, don't dim your light, baby.
Absolutely.
Sparkle shine.
That is it. You're such a great advocate for that. The moment that I saw you that first time we met, you were just like the shining beacon of a woman. I was just like, she's my kind of person. But it's that warmth as well, right? Warmth and leadership. I really appreciate when somebody's in a higher position of power and they give me warmth. That, to me, really resonates on a human-to-human level. And those people that don't have time to do that, I just don't know if those are my people.
Yeah, and I think it's identifying that, isn't it? That is part of allowing you to be whole human and creating a safe space and being in that and showing who you are. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that we got to spend this time together and do a do-over, and also do a little plan for some, interim Rosey review episodes. I think that would be a great idea, because I don't always have content for them. So that would be great. We'll just book some in.
Amazing.
Cool. This is a Mikayla recommendations one. Excellent.
Thank you, Rosey. I so appreciate you having me on this. I love every time I chat to you, I just walk off just feeling so good. So I appreciate you giving me this time as well.
Oh, me too. I appreciate you. I appreciate just you talk about struggling with that, but we've really not ever had any curtains up between us. And no. No,
we haven't, which I love.
I love too. And it's a pleasure just to see you continue to blossom, and I can't wait to see where this next step takes you, and that all the people that you are again able to positively influence. So I'm going to round off with that. And hit stop on the record so we can capture.